Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation. What is sensorality? What is a sensor? How is censorship naturally defined? So we continue to progress through linguistic analysis until we have a definite definition, a unique sequence of syllability, a sufficient differentiation of it is what it is, a linguistic proof which is comprehensive to everything or all logical structure of how is a sensor, again, naturally defined. So we just continue to progress, nothing really at the forefront of my mind. Some more, again, historical emphasis. We pretty much start with a fundamental theorem of physics, but just progressing through our steps in order as I have them written down. And so we start. What is memory to space? Right? A point, a location is not a point in space. It doesnn't make any sense. Space is nothing. No thing is space. But we had the question last episode, is space open? Is memory open? Because again, if you were to save something on your computer, what are you really saying? Right? It says you have this amount of gigabytes available, this amount of terabytes available. Is that space? Right? Is memory open? And that was the relationship directly from last episode. So restating the fundamental theorem of physics, which I put on the screen, again, when I edit the videos, I have this same extraction of logic from my own diction, which again, emphasizing my own learning process. It doesn't have to be in person. It just, anytime I can feel or listen, I can feel the entire logical structure that is present, including my own diction. Because again, this overarching theorem that we've articulated before, which is overwhelmingly true, including for myself, you can't say something that you don't know. And we're deriving what is sensorality because I don't know it, right? Or because it's the next thing you can prove linguistically, which is well defined chronologically. But this whole process is to answer what is sensorality. But you can't say what you don't know. And so this is just, again, the derivation, the process of getting to a definition. What is energy, movement, potential? What is sensorality? I don't know. What is speciality? Special with an ITY, differentiation for sexual antagonism. And so we just have to build up our conceptualization into emotion that contains all of these different geometric, numeric, linguistic, chiral relationships, and then we can just derive, which again, overall, I'm not sure, again, we're proving things. We are proving theorems. We are establishing relationships. Derivation is more syllability to less syllability, but overall, are we creating information or are we destroying information? But just again, I keep saying this is a reduction. Derivation is reduction. But to stabilize, right, I feel like a card house, it's like you have no card house until you stabilize all the theorems. In other people's cases, a lemma, but again, we've already proven this process, or I've proven this process. And so I feel like, again, once you get enough card houses where it stabilizes, that's not like reduction. But we're certainly stabilizing a definition, and the logical renormalizations, sensorality is, that's this literal linguistic limitation of proliferation. And so, but in the last episode, we got to this fundamental, again, just the direct empirical reality is that everything is moving. And so every physicist up until now has basically not really said, again, when Albert Einstein says this is rest energy, he's still conceptually within what, again, Newton's comprehensivity, or the comprehensivity of mechanics as a whole. But then again, the thing I'll just read the theorems and kind of react to what I had in the last episode. I just have the fundamental theorem of physics. Energy derives from movement, right? Everything is moving, so the concept of energy, movement, potential is implied. And so the empirical thing is just everything is moving. Energy derives from movement. Movement potential is implied / inferred from motion. Again, movement to motion, just pointing that out explicitly, I use them pretty interchangeably. But again, this is Einstein's kind of conceptualization calling rest energy. Rest energy is still, again, not conceptually past what is established as mechanics, and still in this wrong dichotomy of potential energy and kinetic energy. And so last episode, we kind of, again, I almost said it, but you can't say, because again, you're not using the right words. You literally can't describe physics properly without the right ontology. And so you don't convert potential energy into kinetic energy. Everything is moving, so you have energy, movement potential, implied or inferred, derived from the motion itself. And then we have, again, from mechanics conceptualization, inertia, right? Everything tends to stay in motion. But that's just not true, right? You go throw a baseball, you go drive a car, you have resistance, right? You have impedance. You have things slowing down. Things tend to decrease in motion, right? All motion decreases. And so, again, when we're having our chronology established, is we're starting in an environment where everything has always been moving for the entirety of logical development. All of language, all of history. So energy is the derived quantity or fundamental physical relationship. And then we have Einstein saying E equals mc squared in this whole environment of nobody's articulated what is energy properly conceptually, but it's still not conceptually outside of mechanics. And so again, rest energy, and then something in motion is energy, but that would still, again, within this dichotomy of potential energy being converted into kinetic energy, when it's fundamentally wrong. Everything is moving, and your tendency is to slow down. And so inertia is tendency, there are no closed systems, interaction is resistance, impedance is resistance, emphasizing the impedance, ANCE, and resistance, ANCE. And so when Newton says, or the conceptualization of mechanics says objects in motion tend to stay in motion, that's completely ignoring resistance, which just isn't the real world. And so our chronology, things in motion tending to decrease in motion, is where we get, again, the proper deriving of what is energy, movement potential, implied from the movement itself. If something is traveling at 5 meters per second, we can predict where it's going to be in 5 seconds from now. But that's implied directly from movement. And so that is the fundamental theorem of physics. Energy derives from movement. What is dance to stance? Direct syllability from impedance is resistance. Emphasizing the elementality of opens in sensor, right? There are no closed systems. All systems are open. Nothing is touching, but everything is connected. And so opens in sensor, open sesame, just that syllability, that elementality. Seems really close to a containment. Again, there seems to be some relationship between P and R, again, geometrically. Sensorality opens tone. Sensorality is an open tone. Natural definition, direct iteration, right? An open tone is inviting. Are sensors open? Are senses open? Sensorality is not speciality. Natural definition, direct iteration. So again, we have to make this fundamental linguistic conceptual differentiation from speciality. And so, right, what's the most fundamental thing we can say to differentiate it? It's opposition, it's not speciality. But emphasizing the linguistic, the irreducible elements, the syllables. Again, at this point, we've bounded ality. That's empirically evident. People say ality to generalize something. And so we go from 5 syllables, sensorality, to sensorality, speciality. And so we keep ality as just ality, and then we just literally iterate, change the position of the 2 syllables of speciality. So speciality, she-speality. Fundamental theorem of logic, sensorality is C-speality. Natural definition, direct iteration. And now that CI is functioning as this one-to-many stabilized elementality, and we just take it off. Sensorality is spielty, but it kind of looks like spiel. Again, this doesn't really have a natural pronunciation, at least doesn't strike me as one. Spielity. Natural definition, direct iteration, and that syllability forces the phonetic spiel, right? And so we have she, and that CI comes out, but we still preserve the she, right? Spiel. Sensorality is a spiel. Natural definition, direct iteration, emphasizing the vowel structure. Again, this IE feels important. Again, this whole time, this I moving things in and out of words, just emphasizing that again, and the phonetic spiel. But it makes sense. Orality spiels. Natural definition, direct iteration. Orality or sensorality is spiel ability. Natural definition, direct iteration. Spieling rants. What is spilling to spieling? Sensorality spiels the beans. Direct iteration. Makes sense. If you spill the beans, right, that's an analogy to talking, to passing gossip, to orality, right? Spiel the beans makes sense. Sensorality is a special spiel. So now we have this direct she consonants phonetic emphasis, natural definition, direct iteration. But a special spiel is a best man speech or a maid of honor speech. Right? I just have sensorality is a best man speech. A spiel is a speech. Natural definition, direct iteration. So you can hear that phonetic progression. We pointed that out a while ago that was going to happen. I think it might be this step. But again, once we solidify and stabilize what is sensorality, you see all the times we've said speciality, right? It's not like it's just like this one and done step. It becomes, again, the most comprehensive. It becomes the only axiom effectively. It's just comprehensive to everything. And so once we get this fundamental unique conceptualization pairing, right, it will produce the unique chronology of syllability, and then it stabilizes the definition in the context of the whole historical progression of science. And so, yeah. Is honor best? And that's just a combination of maid of honor and best man. Sensorality belts out a spiel. Direct iteration. What is spieling to singing? What is ranting to singing? What is ranting to rotating? What is metal magnetic? Is a refrigerator an air conditioner? And so some direct things to point out. We've said, why does my microwave say it's a sensor? Is my refrigerator an air conditioner? I think the question speaks for itself. But is my microwave a sensor? In this whole context is part of this proof, the whole thing. Is a refrigerator an air conditioner? Is a microwave a sensor? Sensorality senses wave. Direct iteration. What is waving to working? What is waving to having? Have, has. Sensorality has sensation. Direct iteration. Containment has. Direct iteration. Is pressure contained? Is pressure pleasing? Sensorality leases pressure. Direct iteration. Lease, leased. Is censorship categorical? Is censorship algorithmic? Direct iteration. Because again, sensorality stabilizes some chronology of linguistics, some sentence, some syllability structure. From rhythm to algorithm is like our isolated variable. Sensoralities are introduced syllability, and we're showing that it is what it is. So all of this is coming together. Is censorship algorithmic? And now emphasizing censorship with a C contains the word sensor with an S. And again, it breaks down to the word sensor in chip. Because remember, sensorality is not a word, or at least we don't think so. At least I don't think so. And it's just this not word that we use to show why sensor with an S is sensor with an S, and censorship with a C is censorship with a C. And we've proven this spelling difference. And so, but we'll certainly arrive at some sort of definite syllability. But we should, I think from rhythm to algorithm agenticality, and then censorship, right? Is censorship algorithmic? It's a direct isolation. Because again, we're doing this reduction process of derivation. We have to build this, extend our logical structure, and then pull it back to the same conceptual basis. And we've been at that same conceptual basis for like 100 videos now. And so we're just making this fundamental difference of speciality to sensorality. Sense category, allegory. Sensorality categorizes allegory. Direct iteration. Sensorizing is categorizing. Natural definition, direct iteration. And again, we've pointed out a bunch, but the fundamental inconsistency that we think we're resolving is I have senses with an S, my microwave does not have sense with an S. All right, that's not consistent. What is going on there? What is the linguistic motivation, the conceptual motivation to spell censorship with a C or with an S? And why do we see the linguistic elements that we do? Categorizing is organizing. Categorical is sweeping. We have to make this sweeping linguistic iteration. Categorical sweeps. What is sweeping to spieling? Sensorality is spieling. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is spying to spieling? What is spieling to squealing? Spieling, sealing. Emphasizing that switches the E and the I back, but it was an elementality, something that came to mind. What is sealing and what is sealing to concealing? That S and the C present. Sensorality conceals. Sensorality is concealment. Natural definition, direct iteration. Does sealing conceal? Revealing is the opposite of concealing. Natural definition. Sensorality reveals censorship. Direct iteration. Sensorality is art. Sensorality is articulationality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is articulation to vibration? Right, am I articulating vibration right now? What is articulation to accreditation? Is intelligence articulate? What is particulation to articulation? Sensorality is particularity. Natural definition, direct iteration. Are particles circular? Might have hit that before. Sensorality is particulationality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Specifics are particular. What is sphericality to particularity? What is particularity to pronunciation? Is pronunciation vibration? Sensorality senses vibration. Sensorality senses sensation. Direct iteration. Is tension sensational? Is sensation intentional? Again, movement versus motion, motion, emotion, motion, vibration, same syllability. Yeah, and then within naturally, again, we've said the limit of movement or the limit of motion is vibration. Just pointing stuff out. Sensorality is intentionality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is intention to contention? Censorship detains. Sensorality is detainment. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is detainment to containment? Is detainment detention? Sensorality is detentionality. Natural definition, direct iteration. In detention, sensors. Detentionality, tension. What is intention to interaction? What are your intentions with my daughter? Is action tense? Sensorality aces action. Direct iteration. Sensorality is asiality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Then I just have EI emphasized, not sure really why. Sensorality is aceability. Natural definition, direct iteration. Aceable is perfectible. Sensorality is perfectibility. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is perfectibility to quintessentiality? Sensorality is quintessentiability. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is interest quintessential? Sensorality is sensibility. Natural definition, direct iteration. Again, directly pulled from the back of quintessential. Because again, English written left to right, from rhythm to algorithm, like it's a direct, literal, chronological consequence. And then we show this direct iteration by the elementality of the syllability. Spelling as a geometric consequence. What is sensibility to satiability? Sensorality is satisfactory. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality satisfies. What is satisfaction to factorization? Fundamental theorem of mathematics, derivation is factorization. This linguistic reduction, we're bringing down a complete conceptualization, sensorality to censor, syllable by syllable, directly. The limit of reduction of derivation is irreducibility, fundamentally, physically, stability. If you wanted to break apart an electron or a proton, you don't have enough energy, or again, there's physical limits to interaction. And so that's fundamental stability, which is represented mathematically, logically, as irreducibility. Derivation is factorization. Factorization is limited by irreducibility. Is deduction conclusive? Is censorship reclusive? Sensorality includes sensation. Direct iteration. Is memory open? That's what we started with. What is sensation to commemoration? What is profit to appreciation? What is profit to proof? Direct iteration. Sensorality appreciates profit. Direct iteration. Is profit limited? Because again, overall, our physical conceptualization, our work, our cycle that isn't the exact same, that does work, that produces something productive, is a definition, conceptually. Again, what is a sensor? What is speciality? Literally, it's special with an ITY. That's a direct, complete proof. What is it conceptually? Differentiation for sexual antagonism. And so proof is profit. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is ontology to oncology? Word salad is oncological ontology. Natural definition, right? Word salad is cancer words. Sensorality is cologicality, and now we have co-logicality, directly from oncology. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is collegiality. Is collegiality legal? And so the spiel, that's where I finished up with the derivation. Spiel was definitely a conceptual, again, conceptual progress, again, ality, one unit, spe, she, spe, but we preserve that she by producing spiel by the elementality of spielty. So again, progressing our conceptualization, preserving the phonetic, which again, that's the fundamental physical property preserved, is, again, syllable to me is both the sound and the letters representing that sound, but when I say phonetic, I'm strictly talking the physical sound. And so that she, from spiel, from speciality, is preserved, and the letters change, and it's well-defined, and orality, spiels. And so, again, linguistically, censorship with the C, completely censorshipality, but that, again, we've reduced ality at this point. And so that contains censor with an S, and then censorship, again, with a C, containing censor and chip completely. And so we're just re-emphasizing this linguistic, because we just need the right motivation. All of this is limiting the linguistic proliferation, as well as documenting the, again, truly one foot in front of the other, 1 + 1 = 2, 2 + 1 = 3, that type of syllability progression, that simple, that directly. Because literally I can tell if you don't literally just blurt out no, you can follow literally everything I say, because I know it resonates, because it's the right answer. But I'm just walking through you at a level where it's just like there's nothing to deny. But regardless, emphasizing conceptual progress and then direct pairing, it has to be some sort of relationship. Algorithm is censorship algorithmic. That was our isolated linguistic variable from the reduction of speciality. What is a sensor? That's still directly what we're answering. Why does my microwave say it's a sensor? Is my refrigerator an air conditioner? We put words on things and why, right? This some sort of basic functionality, which is extremely limited, right? Work, power, energy. Conceptually, we're still kind of refining the definition of power, energy, velocity, changing movement potential. And then just some sort of direct motivation to differentiate sensorality. Censorship has the same elementality as sensorality. And so we just produce this context. Context defines a variable, and it just pushes the linguistics, the letters, to the end of a sentence. And then we just show, again, the direct letter iterating. Should be there. All of the pieces are right there. My rights continue to be violated so profoundly and extensively. The violation of the law is so profound and extensive. I continue to beg for a little bit of money to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work. Clearly, nobody cares. My property is never allowed to be distributed or used for the benefit of the United States of America. I continue to ask just to be able to live some quality of life, which remains at zero. And so I am being held against my will. It is profound and extensive T-word. Literally nobody cares, just documenting as much as I can. I have no confidence I can even record my work at any point in time in any medium, on any server, on any website, on any journal, nothing. The mathematical community, physics community, academia as a whole, you guys are disgusting criminals. Just keep lying, cheating, and stealing, because that's all you're good for. You guys can't do research. That's what I have for today. See you on the next one.